Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. We'll be deep diving into some fantastic PlayStation news. How well do you really understand the difference between first, second and third party games? You might be surprised. Are we finally getting the God of War remaster? And what about Spider-Man 3? Is Peter Park staying or going? We've got all these latest infos and rumours, so stick around. Sacred Symbols Plus recently interviewed former PlayStation Studio boss Shuhei Yoshida, and I just want to talk a little bit about part of the interview in the article from Per Square. The full interview is behind a Patreon paywall. Within part of this interview, they were talking about the common confusion surrounding the terms first party, second party, and third party games. If you're a bit like me, you might not have realized or understood what they actually meaning. So I'd like to try and break down what I learned from the past interview within this article from Push Square. So I always thought that first-party games were exclusively developed and published by PlayStation themselves. However, after reading the Push Square article, I realized I was wrong about what first-party really means. For example, let's say Death Stranding was often described as a first-party game by Sony. But Shuhei Yoshida classified that it's actually about the publisher and not the developer. He explained by saying, when a game is made by a developer, even an independent one, and published by PlayStation, we call that a first-party game. Before Housemarque was required, they were an external developer and our external producers managed the relationship, but we funded the game and released it as a first-party title, even though it was developed externally. Okay, so he went on to explain how second-party and third-party works. I'll leave the article link below. So back to the second-party and third-party exclusives. Basically, when PlayStation talks about second-party, they are referring to games made by an independent studio. Think of it like this. These game studios and their partners, they work with PlayStation and either PlayStation funds the game entirely or they split the funding between them and the second-party studio. The important thing here is the studio that made the game, they still own the IP, but PlayStation handling the publishing. A good example of this would be, let's say Rise of the Ronin. It was developed by Koei Tecmo. PlayStation published that game, so in their eyes, that was a second-party title. Now, third-party exclusives, or what Shuhei called partner titles. Now, this works a little bit differently. This is when an independent studio, like Square Enix, for instance, creates a game and launches it as a timed exclusive on PlayStation first. Thinking of Final Fantasy 16, that would be called a partner title or a third-party exclusive. So just a quick recap. Second party is a PlayStation-funded or co-funded game, but the developer keeps the IP and produces it. Third-party exclusives or partner titles is when an independent studio makes a game and it comes out to PlayStation as a timed exclusive. Yoshida also shared that during his time in PlayStation as a PlayStation studio boss, he signed a lot of external developed first-party games, though he acknowledged that second-party deals have become more common in the relevant years. I always had an idea in my head that first-party games like the big PlayStation exclusives had always been made in-house with PlayStation-owned studios, right? Makes some sense, I thought. But it makes much more sense that it's actually about the publisher of the game. So even if indie game studio developed it, if PlayStation put their name on it, it's still considered a first-party game. I never realized it. It's actually quite interesting when you think about it. Again, I'll drop the link to the Push Square article below if you want to check it out. Right, moving on to the next part of this video, I'm going to talk about the newest update to the God of War game. So, the rumour mill is still working in overtime all around this game, from Kratos going back to Egypt, but as his younger self, to remakes and remasters. And now we're getting closer to celebrating the 20-year anniversary of the first God of War game, which all started back in March 2025 on the good old PS2, brilliant system. As we are getting closer and closer to this date, and there's been no official announcement by Sony or Santa Monica Studios, but the rumours keep coming in. We do have more of a credible entry coming from Jeff Grubbs, saying that the remasters are real and they should be revealed soon. He also posted on Blue Sky saying, "I think that these God of War remasters rumours just jumped the gun a little bit. That stuff will happen closer to the 20th anniversary." This posting was linked to a God of War 20th anniversary exhibition being held in Alhambra in March this year. Now I'm thinking one option would be if Sony could just release all 4 of these games as part of a PS2 and PSP Classic collection, give them a PS5 upgrade boost with upscaling and save status, and make them available on their PS Plus Premium. But I'm more inclined in thinking they will alternatively go down the route and bundle these games together in a remaster collection, as Grums was rumoured about saying. And yes, I know Sony loves doing their remasters. And I know they lean too much on them nowadays, but it somewhat makes sense. And it would be great to be able to play the collection on the PS5 with enhanced graphics. And it would also be a great way to get fans coming back and enjoying them all over again. There's also the whole Ragnarok roguelike expansion. Valhalla bridges the gap between Kratos Greek and Norse Saga. And what about God of War Ascension? That game, along with the multiplayer mode, it is still stuck on the PS3. It's one of those titles that I don't think will ever make its way onto the PS5 as yet. I would have to say it could have been a possibility. Would have been great to see it and how it would have been approached if Sony wasn't cancelling all their live service games. I really could see this happening, but I don't think it will ever happen. But it would be nice to see if Sony would ever bring back that part of the game. I'll also leave the link below for, again, with the Push Square article if you want to go ahead and read it. What do you think will happen? Do you want to see the games get a remaster treatment? Or would it be part of an upgrade for the PS Plus Premium? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. The last part of this news is all about the next Spider-Man game. I've got some fresh updates on the Marvel Spider-Man 3 game, and it's one coming straight from the voice actor of Peter Parker, Yuri Lowenthal. If you're worried about Peter getting benched in the next installment, of which I'm very much so of, then hopefully this should bring some relief to us all. This is everything we know so far, plus some speculations on my part of what I think we might get. So, in a recent interview with The Direct, Yuri Lowenthal was asked about Peter Parker in the role of Spider-Man 3, and he had one clear message: Peter is not going anywhere. Within the interview, he said, "There are very few things I can say about this game, but you have somehow landed on one thing that I can answer, and that is that Peter is not gone. He will be a part of the next game, and he won't be relegated to the couch, I promise." In the current Marvel Spider-Man 2 game, we could swap between Peter and Miles within gameplay, which I thought was a good idea and worked well. But I know there are some fans of the game who would just like to go back to one main character, like in Marvel Spider-Man, the first game. There are some Spidey fans, of which I'm included, are concerned that Peter might take a back step in the next game. But from what Lowenthal is saying, it sounds like he's still in a major player within the next chapter. Now, getting to some leaks and rumours floating around, we already know that a little bit about what the game is going to be like from the Insomniac major ransomware attack, which a ton of internal details was being leaked online. Amongst these leaks were what appears to be some very early alpha gameplay footage of Spider-Man 3, showing multiple playable characters, including Cindy Moon's Silk. If this turns out to be true, it means we could see Peter, Miles, and Cindy all sharing the same spotlight, We had the same trio of gameplay characters in GTA 5, and it worked very well, where you can swap between each one of the three characters throughout your gameplay. But it just really comes down to how you are allowed to use it. It will either work fantastically well, where you have full control of when you can swap over, like in Spider-Man 2, or it will just be a story control swap. I really hope it's not the latter. We will just have to wait and see. The big question is, when can we expect it to be released? If you look back at Spider-Man 1, it was around about 2018 it got released. Spider-Man 2 Miles Morales launched in 2020, if I remember, and Spider-Man 2 dropped in 2023, if I'm correct. So I think we could be looking at a timescale or timeline around about 2027 to 2028, I think, a release date. And that would put it near the rumoured release time of the PS6, meaning that we might be in a real chance that Spider-Man 3 could be either the swan song to the PS5 or even a PS6 launch game title. So there you have it. We might be getting a new Spider-Man game in 2027, 2028, maybe. What do you think? Will this be the ultimate Spider-Man game? And do you think it will land on the PS5 or we will have to wait until the PS6? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss out on my videos. Be good, be kind, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.